The prophesied Antichrist will rule the world from Jerusalem. You can see what it says here on this coin. And he charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem. In this coin, it's stating that after 70 years, a figure like Cyrus will come to build a third temple. Here you see the seal of Persia, the seal of United States, okay, with the Star of David. Let's see if we can get a view of that. It's not the best here, but that's the Star of David above in the crest. And we know the Antichrist will go into a third temple, and the Antichrist will make a peace deal. All those components you see in this coin, this temple coin. Now, Donald Trump is fulfilling all of these details to rule the whole world from Jerusalem. Now, what is taking place before you in the news every day relates to that subject from one way or another. The peace deal with UAE is part of the 70 nations. Mike Pompeo going to Jerusalem from King David Hotel during the Republican National Conference is very, very significant because it's stating everything that you see here on this coin. Now, it's important that you understand that Mystery Babylon sits on 7 mountains. And we know one of those is Jerusalem, which is the seat where the Antichrist will rule the whole world, and there are other mountains. One of those mountains we consider is Elam, and that will be a split between Sunni and Shiite Muslim, but Mecca and Saudi Arabia. Now, what's taking place here, guys, in this whole rebuilding of the third temple is that Saudi Arabia is gaining the access to what is called the Temple Mount, so that they would actually administer in place of Jordan the Temple Mount.
And then you have Sudan, who are also trying to move in and get out the sanctions and be on the good side of the United States, understanding that this is going through Jerusalem, First of all, I think, Jeff, that there is an enormous pressure from the United States, from the president down, Kushner, Pompeo, and it makes sense. You see, according to my understanding, and this is what I would do if I were in their position, is planning a big ceremony in the White House, in the South Lawn of the White House, before November 3rd, before the elections, where you can really have 4-5 countries together with Israel signing a peace accord and signing some regional alliance, which are of course backed by the United States. That could be a huge coup for the region, for Israel, but also for Trump, elections-wise. Well, I think Saudi Arabia will come last, simply because they are the custodian of Jerusalem and the holy sites of Islam. Well, I think Saudi Arabia will come last, simply because they are the custodian of Jerusalem and the holy sites of Islam, and also they have always tried to push away the radical Islamists in their midst. Al-Qaeda came out of Saudi Arabia, ISIS in a way also. So they will be very, very reluctant to do anything unless they realize that the coast is clear internally.
I'm Mike Pompeo. I'm speaking to you from beautiful Jerusalem, looking out over the old city. I have a big job, are more safe, and their freedoms more secure, because President Trump has put his America First vision into action. It may not have made him popular in every foreign capital, but it's worked. President Trump understands what my great fellow Kansan President Eisenhower said. For all that we cherish and justly desire for ourselves or for our children, the securing of peace is the first requisite. Indeed, the primary constitutional function of the national government is ensuring that your family and mine are safe and enjoy the freedom to live, to work, to learn, and to worship as they choose. Delivering on this duty to keep us safe and our freedoms intact, this president has led bold initiatives in nearly every corner of the world. The president, too, move the U.S. Embassy to this very city of God, Jerusalem, the rightful capital of the Jewish homeland. And just 2 weeks ago, the president brokered a historic peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. This is a deal that our grandchildren will read about in their history books.
Actually, our book tells the future, and it told us about everything we're seeing here. Guys, we told you before that the Sanhedrin is organizing the 70 nations. The 70 nations are run by the organization of 70 elders, or the Sanhedrin, where they have 70 seats, and the third temple, which is built under the Western Wall. Here you see Mike Pompeo visiting the Western Wall. And we've been to this site. We've taught on this a great deal, but this is all the acting out, the symbolism of what's taking place in the future. Here you see the temple. They're showing him, oh, look, the temple. The temple is coming. The temple is coming, okay? At the same time, the temple is also built underground. And we know that the Antichrist will make a peace deal. And here you see them symbolically signing documents symbolizing the signing of the peace deal, the signing of the 70 nations and ruling of the whole world from Jerusalem, ruling the whole world from the third temple, as foretold by the scriptures. Now, in our next piece, guys, Google had a third temple they displayed as a 3D rendition, and we're going to have audio of David Goldberg, who was a White House insider that described all of the plans that you see taking place right now.
I think that the memos that I received, we'll talk a little bit about the memos. The memos are different from the classified documents. The memos are White House internal memos that discuss a wide range of things in terms of Trump's meeting with rabbis, discussions with Netanyahu over the phone. And one of the memos says that Donald Trump will have to declare himself King of Israel publicly. This is part of the process for them. It doesn't. There's no strategic reason for it. It is symbolic for them. Trump is going to declare himself King of Israel at some point. I don't know how, but they're talking about it in these memos over and over again. When he's going to do it, why they want him to do it, which again is symbolic. It has no strategic purpose, apparently. It is part of the process of the end game, basically, is what I'm saying. So we will see if that happens or not. It sounds ridiculous. I can't imagine him actually saying it. But maybe he will do something like that. We will look out for that in the coming months. Based on my reading of the classified documents and the memos, so much of what is going on is planned. They've given people the impression that Trump has brought chaos to politics, but it's actually the opposite. It has been planned. Donald Trump's allegiance is to Israel. He's not only a Jew, he is a Freemason. They have promised him his daughter, the sons, will enjoy very high-level ranking within the world government that they are forming, the capital which will be Jerusalem. So that is why Trump is so dedicated to following the script, while performing the way that he does. It appears to be very authentic to his followers. Everything he's done, talking about the wall to the fake news, was scripted from the beginning at around 2014 and 2015. And according to some of the memos I'm reading, he loved it. They introduced all of this to him and he loved it. They told him the plan. You're going to become president. You're going to say this and this and this. He loved it. He's already a little bit of a racist. He's already predisposed to some of this rhetoric. So he loved it. He jumped on board. And they promised him great things, especially for his family, if he were to follow through on these things and simply follow their script. And he does have leeway. He has leeway to say many things that he wants to say. He has a lot of fun doing this. But he does have script writers and Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller has a big role in all of this. He is a dedicated Zionist. He has a lot to do with a lot of this. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, if you want to find out who's really behind it, Stephen Miller is a big part of it. Because it's becoming a problem, and it has been a problem for a few years, and this is their solution to it. In addition to that, they want the world government, they want all of these plans to move forward. They cannot have opposition, because the things that are going to happen are going to be very, very radical. You're going to see the dissolution of the United States of America. You're going to see world leaders and the media endorsing something that is so crazy, and that is the dissolution of the United States of America and the endorsement of a world government seated in Israel. A lot of Americans aren't going to accept that, but they have to eliminate the people who are going to call out what's really going on. From my reading of the documents, how they're going to roll all of this out and justify the dissolution of the United States and many other countries as well, it appears their plan is to do all countries at once. Is going to be under the cover of financial collapse. Well, we have to do the world government. We're all going to die because the financial system is broken down. That is something that is talked about in the classified documents. That ultimately will be the cover story after they do the purge and eliminate the dissidents, the people who are woken up to Zionism. There will be a total financial meltdown, and they will say, look, we have to do the world government. We have to come together. We have to create this new currency. We have no choice. The chaos is too serious. It'll be probably 6 months of complete financial chaos. Food shortages, rise in crime. Many, many people die. Millions and millions of people will also die from this. And then they will justify it and say, look, we have to do the world government.
A new start of the redemption. And we hope that next year or even before we will be on the Temple Mount. The law will come from here. All the 70 nations, they will have a seat in the court, and the law will be the law of the Bible. And maybe this year, and 4 days later, the representative of the groups of the Israelites will come with their lamb to the yards of their temple. We built a kosher altar and start all the ritual of Pesach.
Here you can see sacrifices taking place, and you may ask, what are the 70 nations? The 70 nations is an organization by the Sanhedrin to rule 70 nations of the world, to replace the United Nations. There you see Nikki Haley on a coin they minted with the United Nations behind them and an altar on the right. So remember, he said they would have an altar. And this is to replace the United Nations so that the old world order of the United Nations would go away, and then everything would run out of Jerusalem. And there would be 70 nations thus represented. The Antichrist would rule over in Jerusalem. Now the 70 nations are also supposed to build the third temple. Okay? And you see all this symbolism of the third temple. And many of you ask me, well, where's the third temple, Leland? Is it on the Temple Mount? Is it this thing underground? Guys, we don't know. It may be a temple like the white one you saw there. It may be something underground. We're going to give you all the information we know. But there are changes taking place with the peace deal and the Temple Mount area. The administration of that is going to Saudi Arabia, that they would administer the Temple Mount area. We began to see reports about Saudi Arabia being in secret talks with Israel over the control of Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now this is the Temple Mount area, and it was controlled by the Jordanian Waqf since 1967. But here you can see Israel and Saudi Arabia have reportedly engaged in secret meetings since December regarding Saudi's representation on the Islamic Waqf Council at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. The Islamic Waqf Council is a Jordanian-appointed body overseen by the Muslim sites in Jerusalem. Okay, so talks have been in place based on U.S. Donald Trump's controversial Israel-Palestine plan, the deal of the century. So you can see that the talks have taken place, about changing the administration of the Temple Mount. These are sensitive and secret discussions conducted in ambiguity, in low intensity, diplomats say. Yet it's being leaked, so it's also being known. The Israeli paper further reports that the Jordanians have reached out to Israel and the United States and said it had softened their position regarding Saudi representation, to counter the increase in Turkish influence. So what's happened is Turkey is trying to gain influence over this administration of Islam over the Temple Mount area. So this is an important detail in what's going on heading towards the Third Temple. Israel and U.S. have been in an interest here and a desire to support Saudi Arabia in advancing the deal of the Century Plan during the process of annexation. Saudi Arabia also brings with it, to a point, support from UAE and Bahrain. Now, this was in June, so this was a few months ago, and now we're seeing the UAE forming ties with Israel, so everything is coming together. So there we could see Saudi Arabia involved in some of the changes on the Temple Mount. And when we say the Third Temple, when we say the temple, most of us think of something like this. But you can see it's quite large with lots of chambers and different rooms. And we're not certain exactly what the Third Temple is going to be like, but parts of it are built underground. So this is like Google Maps we showed you earlier, was this kind of 3D model rendering. But underground, there's something called the Chamber of Hewn Stone. And this is where Mike Pompeo went. And we've been sharing about how the Third Temple is built underground as well, parts of it. So guys, if you don't know this, look, the peace deal has happened. The Antichrist is here. The government of the whole world is shifting to Jerusalem. They had a conference earlier where many dignitaries were in Jerusalem. They didn't show them going to the synagogue, but you can see that there are major aspects of the Third Temple built already underground, like dining halls and chambers. These are all things that are part of the temple structure, And we can actually see through the altar and the construction materials that they'll actually make. So please watch the videos and the playlists as we go over this. If you're new to this channel, you probably have no idea of any of this going on. But the aspects of Bible prophecy are taking place right before our eyes. This is the 70 nations. This is the peace deal. This is the shift of global government going to Jerusalem. And this is the shift of the 70 nations now signing on in alliances with Israel. Guys, as we conclude this here, we're at the site where they dedicated the altar. This is right where they had done this. And now, for those of you that follow this channel and you're educated on the gates of Jerusalem, you'll notice that this is ancient Herod's palace. And this is the place where Pontius Pilate interrogated Christ. And there's a bema seat right up there. And here's where they dedicated the altar. Now, the reason I want to show you this is something that's really significant. For those of you that are not familiar with these sacrifices and different things going on, you really got to educate yourself. You really got to see what's going on. Now, before you see that block, what they did is they left a piece of this altar. This is a piece of the altar. And it's been here since December of last year. Now what this is something called aerated concrete. And you can see I'm moving it with my hand quite easily. If there were a handle on it, I could pick it up. This is the material they used to make the altar. And basically, they could put that altar together like Legos. Trying to get to scale something that you can see. This is just so you can see my hand. This is a small piece. But basically the altar was a little smaller than this space here. Let's just say, for example, we have a corner here. See that? And then here. This is approximately that size of the altar. And like these stones, it was split in half, and it was very easy for them to assemble. The reason we're showing you this is essentially what we're getting at is that Solomon's temple was built off-site. So they left this as like a testimony of this material so as to kind of give us an idea of what they're going to do with the third temple. Third temple will probably be assembled off-site with a material like this that can be, you know, very lightweight and can be assembled very quickly. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this material, show this stone, because they left this here to give us an indication of what, you know, how the temple is going to be built. It's not going to be built out of actual stone like this. It's probably this material here, aerated concrete, assembled off-site, and then within a very, very short period of time can be assembled wherever.